to Unravel with Natly Denise.
Hello, good evening. How are you guys? I hope you are doing well. Welcome to Nightly with Natly, a segment of Unravel with Natly Denise, the podcast name. I hope you guys are doing well today. And I apologize for being about 30 minutes late. I was at an engagement party for a family member. So, of course, within those engagements, no pun intended, but, those family gatherings, I don't rush things. So I got home, I jumped into my jammies, like when you're dressed up, like all I want to do is like jump in like my comfy clothes. Like that's what I work in every day. I'm thankful that God has had me in a position where I can wear jammies all day. So this is my comfort zone. This is where my happy place is. So I just thought that, what happened to that? Well, anyways, I needed it off. I just thought that I would address some things that happened today. You guys might have seen me on social media, more in particular to Instagram. There is a little bit of drama in the community, as there always is drama in the Patriot community. But I just want to address this. First of all, like whoever, there was some said beef between, myself and, people who think that people can't capitalize on the market, especially, when you know what's going on, that there is a whole economy, right, that is being dominated by the globies, like the Schwabs of the whatchamacall, the Schwab's Economic Forum, the establishment media, the establishment economy, the corporations, the stores, the products, it's all owned and up the chain of the same people who want to spread the same rhetoric. And so the ideology is simple. Like if you don't like what you're being controlled to do or being thrown into or being shoved down your throat, then you change it by inserting yourself. You insert yourself in your local government, you run for commissioner or you run for mayor, you run for judge, whatever it is, right? Or if you don't like that, for instance, Sephora is slamming down all these Marxist ideologies and, makeup customers, in my personal, endeavor is to, well, if I don't like the way that Sephora is doing that and, they don't like the views of conservatives or whatever, well, then we change it. We do us and we insert ourselves in the market. If you don't like the way that media is being controlled, then guess what? You insert yourself in the media. I just happen to have many hands and many buckets. Some of you guys have been following me for a while now, and I just have my hands in many buckets, especially those that have followed me for years. This YouTube channel or my main YouTube channel used to be a movie review channel. So obviously I like entertainment, before really there's been like a big revolution over the past year and a half where we have really, as a collective, we've gotten to know what the industry really was about and what players were really which players were acting with other players that were more nefarious. So since we've known that and since we've learned about that, it's been different. We've taken a step back. We've assessed, at least I speak for myself, I've assessed the industry. I'm like, I don't like that. You know what I mean? So Martin GX says, I follow you since 2019. I appreciate you, Martin. I appreciate you. And for those who have followed me for my original documentaries, those are available right now for free at natlydenise.tv. You can just create an account and watch them for free. So that's where they're rehomed for now. But with that being said, there is this sort of communal thinking, and it's very fringe in the patriotic community where and I'm going to address it because why not address what I'm talking about or what I'm defending myself for, right? Like I'm not afraid of people who come at me. So why not address it? But there is a fringe communal thinking where if you are in the patriotic community, you cannot make your bread, you cannot make your own products, you cannot ask for, money for things like that. And here's the thing, I'm going to tell y'all the truth. I'll tell you the truth. I'm a struggling journalist. I don't make thousands of dollars. I don't make like Tucker Carlson money. Like everything you see behind me, I risked my savings, my life savings. I bought a lot of it with it. You know what I mean? Because I took a big risk. I left my very comfortable corporate career. And I was comfortable. I was an analyst. I'm very skilled. And any day now, I could just turn away from everything and get a very comfortable corporate job. But I know that that's not what I'm called to do, you know. And I felt this tug in my destiny to do this. You know, I know what I'm doing. I know that, you know, people like hearing the news from me. You know, maybe it's not a big audience, but it's okay. I still have a consistency. You know what I mean? And I'm very passionate. Simultaneously, I'm passionate about combating trafficking, and that is what I know that this is what I'm put here in this space to do, because nobody's going hard and relentless, you know, on the front lines in a media personality or, you know, in a media effort to talk about these things. And I vow to keep talking about it because more and more people need to know what's going on a day-to-day basis. So with that being said, if you want to start your business, if you want to build an economy within the global space that is dominated by the Kabbalistic nature of corporate media, politics, you know, products, you go out and you do it. But guess what? It's not going to be easy. You've got to start somewhere. But you know what also doesn't make it easy? When there's this hive thinking mentality that tells you you can't do this or that because you're in the community and you're automatically a grifter. Well, let me ask you this. For anybody who has that type of hive thinking mentality, what do you have to say about Tucker Carlson, who makes millions of dollars per year to work for Fox? You know what I mean? What do you have to say about Don Lemon and Brian Stelter and what's her face? You know, the other one with the short haircut who's a chick. I forget her name, and she works MSNBC, Joy Reid, like all those people who make millions of dollars. And I'm literally, I have a tripod and a neon sign behind me. You know what I mean? Like, what do you expect? You want them to make millions of dollars and keep spreading the misinformation and the false narratives when there's somebody in a little town who has stepped away from literally everything to do this. You understand? I just want people to really grasp that concept. It's not an easy thing to just leave a comfortable lifestyle and then all of a sudden, you know, you're called a grifter and a sellout because you're inserting yourself in an economy. No, you know, and if I'm the only one out here saying it, listen, you ain't gonna play with me. You're not gonna jade my name. You're not gonna call me a sellout. This is the other thing that I have to say about that. I ain't never seen those type of people who do that, you know, that type of stuff, who say that, you know, you're a grifter and I ain't never seen them at the border. I never see them at these anti-trafficking ministries volunteering. I never see them feed the homeless. I never seen them, you know, call out their local authorities or call for some sort of legislative change. I never seen that. I ain't never seen any of these people at school board meetings. So it's like, what are you doing for the community? You have got to go out there and do it. If you want to change the way the industry is and the way it is ran, you have got to insert yourself into the economy in different respects. Whether you are a coffee shop, whether you are you want to be a media personality, whether you want your own podcast, you have got to insert yourself in there. Because guess what? If we don't do it, they are going to continue on with their BS. Okay. So all this infighting and these things that don't matter, the reason why I face it head on is because if I do not, then they will continue infighting and they will continue tearing people down until you don't do your own your own thing, until you don't do your own products, until you don't do, and it's silly. This stuff is silly. And I was joking earlier with some friends because I was like, you know what? Like, I've been doing this for a while, right? Like, I've been doing media for a while. You call me Doña Natly, right? I'm your mother. Like, I'm your mother and I have been here. When people wake up 3 to 6 months ago, and they want to call the shots on how people need to be living their lives when they have no idea what these people have risked to do it. I'm your mother. I've been doing this. I've been on the space. I've already lost accounts, 6 on Twitter. I've lost my Instagram at 61K. Like, I've been doing this. I'm experienced this season. Like, nobody is going to come in this game and tell me how I'm going to run my life. It is amazing to me that there has been a mentality that has been festering in the patriotic community that has gaslit people into thinking that doing any basic capitalistic move to uplift themselves and start a business, that they have been gaslit into thinking that that is wrong. Can you imagine? So I just wanted to monologue myself and come in here hot because I am so passionate about what I do. If they come at me and if people come at you, you stand up for yourself and you say, listen, you want to combat all these other Kabbalistic people and industries and, programs or whatever, you have got to insert yourself. And so that is my call to you. If you feel your heartstrings and you've been intimidated to speak up or been intimidated to start a business or a line or a fashion, whatever, insert yourself into the industry and don't care about what little people think. All right, let's get it going. All right, we have a lot of news. I just had to listen. I had to vent. I had to share my heart because I am not going anywhere. I'm gonna keep doing what I do. I've been hustling for a long time with little back. You know what I mean? I'm risking a lot. And even still, it gets a little scary, but I'm still willing to risk it all just to keep doing what I'm doing. So with that being said, let's get straight to the news because there's some crazy stuff going on in the world. Oh, man. All right, let's take a look at this. That's right. I am not playing. I'm not. And people will learn today. They will learn very soon that, you come at me, you're going to come at a lot because I'm very respected for what I do. I risk, my safety going to the border. I risk my safety talking about the, child trafficking and bringing awareness and starting the Daily TrafficK. But then a little boy or a little girl wants to come at me and tell me I can't do something. Excuse me. I think not. And again, my name is Doña Natly, not just regular. It's Doña Natly. All right, let me stop fooling around. Let's get to this news here. Okay, so apparently there's a new variant called Omicron. I don't even know how we arrived at Omicron. Like, wasn't it just Delta, Alpha, Beta, A, B, C, D, Alpha, Beta? What is C? Charlie? Delta? What happened to the F all the way through? Oh, I don't understand. But apparently we have Omicron of the cocoa variant. How the fear of the new cocoa strain gripped the world. And this is coming from RT.com. A newly identified, heavily mutated cocoa strain dubbed Omicron is triggering alarm across the globe, prompting a new rash of travel restrictions amid fears that existing poke in the arms will be unable to stop the variant. Of course. It just has a disguise. All this variant does, all cocoa does is put on a wig and some sunglasses. It's the same thing. It's the same thing. The World Health Organization convened an emergency meeting on Friday to discuss the viral strain, which had previously been known as B.1.1.529, declaring the variant of concern while it gave them a new name, Omicron. Preliminary evidence suggests the increased risk of reinfection with this variant as compared to other strains. The agency concluded, while little is known about Omicron, the WHO's chief scientist, Soumya Swaminathan, noted that it carried a number of worrying mutations that it could make the strain more infectious than any other observed before. The large number of mutations have also prompted fears that Omicron could be resistant to existing pokes in the arms and therapeutics. I mean, hasn't that been like even the mainstream narrative? Hasn't that been the mainstream study that even despite the cocoa breaking through many people who are already poked in the arm that there could still be more breakout cases. I've seen so many stories now where celebrities or, athletes who are fully poked in the arm, to the 2 pokes, they somehow get cocoa over and over again, but yet it's the fault of those who aren't unpoked. I don't understand, but this is saying the same thing, essentially, that even if you're poked in the arm twice and you have your little, I guess, additional booster pokes, that this can still prevail through that. And then it says it's seen to lose effectiveness over time against other known variants of concern. One major determining factor in the transmissibility of the virus, the cocoa, is that the evolution of the spike proteins, microscopic protrusions that allow the cocoa to access and hijack host cells, causing infection. A strain detected in Africa in May of 2020 and dubbed beta, for example, had 3 significant mutations in its spike region, which helped make it between 20 and 30% more infectious. Omicron, for the other hand, is thought to have had 32 spike mutations. And then, yeah, okay, so I'm just going to high level. I'm not going to go through all the little significant details in these next paragraphs, but Omicron already crossed continents, as you guys have seen in many, just recently, all day today, there have been many world leaders or, leaders in major cities or states that have called for the ban of travel to certain countries. And for that, it's, in my opinion, this is just another way. It's just another way to lock us down again. So much so that Governor 𝐒𝐫𝐿 is one of the first governors to take direct action and lock down the state again. Governor Kathy Hochul she orders halt on elective surgery amid cocoa spike Omicron. Of course. Let's take a look at what you guys are saying really quick. Let me see what your comments say. Oh, shoot. Martin says, Doña Natly. That's right. Doña Natly, because I've been here. They're about to go through the whole Greek alphabet. I know. I don't even know what happened to, how the alpha, the beta, the Charlie, the delta, what happened to the E to the, all the way to the O's. I don't even know. We all love you, Nat. Love, light, and beauty. Thank you for doing what you do. Thank you so much. I appreciate that sidewinder. It's all a bioweapon. I agree with that. They've just released a new V in the jab. That's why you can't see the ingredients. What's my opinion on the pokes in the arm? I won't do it. Nope. There ain't no way, no how. There's just too many stories out there. It's just my personal opinion. I'm not doing it. Governor Kathy Hochul signed an executive order Friday. This is coming from the New York Post. To postpone elective hospital surgeries, something that hasn't been done since the worst of the initial cocoa outbreak last year. This is really dangerous, by the way, because people who have elective surgeries really have health issues they need to address. And so by doing this, not only are they've already exhibited a staff shortage. Minnesota, we went through, I believe yesterday, that Minnesota was already deploying the National Guard in their state to help with the cases that were going on. And now they're already dealing with staff shortages in New York. I don't know what they're going to do now. It's just with the people who want to take care of their health. I mean, this is just so unfortunate. And we already hear stories of people going in for like basic health necessities such as checkups, physicals, people with prenatal care, and they won't take care of certain people unless they been poked. And it's crazy. Hochul says she made the move to deal with the staffing shortages and boost bed capacity amid an anticipated spike in new cases and the emergence of the new Omicron variant in South Africa. The strain is named after a letter of the Greek alphabet. We've taken extraordinary action to prevent the spread of the cocoa 19 and combat this planpocalypse. However, we continue to see warning signs of spikes this upcoming winter. And while the new Omicron variant has yet to be detected in New York State, it's coming, 𝐂𝐲𝐽 said. I'm prepared in announcing urgent steps today to expand hospital capacity and help ensure our hospital systems can tackle any challenges posed by the planpocalypse. As we head into winter months, the poke in the arm remains one of our greatest weapons. Really, it's remained one of the greatest weapons in the fighting the planpocalypse. And I encourage every New Yorker to get poked in the arm and the booster if you're fully poked in the arm. The edict curbing non-essential surgeries will kick in for hospitals with a limited capacity, defined as or below 10% of available staffed bed capacity. The new protocols will take effect on Friday, December 3rd, and will be reevaluated based on the latest 𝐶OCO-19 data, January 15th. The executive order will also enable to state more quickly any critical supplies to combat the planpocalypse, she said. And then it goes into the poke in the arm and how, they're really wanting you to get the poke in the arm. I mean, there's nothing new about that, right? But something that I'm still wondering is why did they skip letters in naming this variant? I mean, it's like, okay, before I move on to that, this is what I have to comment on that. This is dangerous overreach of power, in my opinion. As I stated, you're already seeing the National Guard deployed in Minnesota. I know New York has talked about doing such a deployment as well in their state. And, this is just, in my opinion, another way to get people to comply and get people to, abide by their stipulations in order to live a normal life. And it's going to make me curious how New Yorkers respond. From what I see from friends in New York who have been in the healthcare industry, who are no longer in the healthcare industry, I've seen them every single weekend take a stand against this every weekend. So I have no idea how this is going to affect New Yorkers. If you guys are from New York, in the comments, let me know what you're doing about this, or, what you plan to not do. I think that would be interesting to see. All right, moving on and pivoting on to the next story. And this is coming from the New York Post once again. The WHO skips 2 letters in Greek alphabet, naming Omicron 𝐶OCO variant. And this is something that I'm actually interested to learn about, because I wonder how they skipped all these alphabets. The emergence of Omicron variant of the 𝐶OCO has international health experts worried, financial markets roiled, and the internet confused over how the new name was chosen. The World Health Organization appeared to skip 2 letters in the Greek alphabet when it announced Friday the name of the latest 𝐶OCO variant, which was first identified in South Africa. Nu and Z were apparently the next letters in the Greek alphabet that have yet to be used for a variant, according to data on their website. Although the WHO didn't immediately explain the decision, internet pundits and politicians speculated that the group skipped Nu to avoid confusion with New and past Z because it is written similarly to the Chinese leader Xi Jinping. That would make a lot more sense. I understand now. And because there's so many people that bow down and take the knee to China, you know what I mean? Like, it just, it makes sense. It makes sense. Senator Ted Cruz retweeted Telegraph editor who cited the WHO source saying Z was skipped to avoid stigmatizing a region. If the WHO is scared of the Chinese or the CCP, this is what Ted Cruz said, not me. I'm just saying this because of, the codes in the platform. So Ted Cruz says, if the WHO is scared of the CCP, how can they be trusted to call out the next time they are trying to cover up a catastrophic global planpocalypse? Cruz sniped at a criticism of the country's role in the outbreak. Wall Street Journal language columnist Ben Zimmer had a different take. Kudos to the WHO for skipping over the potentially confusing Nu and Z names and going straight to Omicron, he wrote. Others joked about the apparent choice after many media outlets had prematurely started calling the Omicron variant new and new. As a letter enthusiast, I feel sad for New and Z for not getting their moments, tweeted one user. I get it, but still a bummer. No, sorry, we're not calling the new cocoa strain new variant, are we? Another said, I refuse to make my Christmas canceled by something that shares in the epithet with a playlist featuring Limp Bizkit. The WHO has been using Greek letters such as alpha, beta, and delta to describe the variants, saying it's on its website would be easier, more practical to be discussed by non-scientific audiences. Omicron is the 5th variant to be designed on a variant concerned by WHO, which also gave the designation for alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. A spokesperson who from the I can't even I'm get confused with WHO and WHO. A spokesperson from the WHO didn't respond to a request for comment from the Post on Friday. Interesting developments. What do you guys think about this naming thing? Omicron sounds scarier. I agree. It does sound a little cryptic. Yeah, it sounds like a transformer, like on the bad side, like a villainous transformer. What are they called? Decepticons? I have something like that. All right. Now we are walking into the Daily Traffic, where I bring you the latest in human trafficking news headlines. And we're actually going to go across the pond for this one. And there's actually a few stories across the pond tonight or this morning, wherever you're listening to me, whenever you're listening. Beginning from news.com.au, a Central Coast man charged after allegedly procuring child for sex through 𝐓𝐫𝐫𝐻𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫. A Central Coast man has been charged after he allegedly used a video chat website to try to find underage teenagers for sex. In a joint operation by the Australian Federal Police and NSW Police, the Umina Beach resident was arrested Thursday after the Australian Centre to Counter Trafficking, Counter Exploitation received a report saying a man on 𝐓𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫𝐫 was using the website to advertise his search for underage children for sexual activity. Police allegedly linked the IP address and mobile phone number associated with the advertisement to the 23-year-old man. And here you can see this apparent 23-year-old getting arrested. Investigators received further information from NSW Police that the same man had allegedly been engaging with teenagers to procure them for sexual activity. After arriving at the man's home and seized a mobile phone, laptop, and several SIM cards, which will undergo forensic examination, he was charged with using a carriage service to procure persons under 16 for sexual activity. The maximum penalty for the offense is 10 years imprisonment. That's it. That's it. And this has been happening. This is happening around the world where it's just very light sentencing like that. Australian Federal Police Acting Sergeant Adam Barsham said that the AFP worked closely with state and territory policing partners to ensure people who seek and cause damage to children were prosecuted. Our partnerships mean we can share information at any point in time during speech warrants and even after an individual has been charged and stop child predators before they can cause further harm to our children. Sergeant Barsham said, members of the public who have any information about people involved in child abuse and exploitation are called to call Crime Stoppers. And this is at 1-800-333-000 or report online. And this is in Australia, the story. So I'm sure that what they're calling for, anybody with information or coming forward that, it's within the Australian territory. All right, moving on to another story. Policing report says many instances of grooming gang child sex crimes are going unrecorded. This is coming from Breitbart.com, but I believe that the more specific location that they are speaking of comes from the UK. So I just want to clarify that before I get into the story. However, this could be applicable to anybody in North America as well, within our lack of full justice system. A report investigating policing practices during the Rotherham grooming gang scandal has found that many instances of reported child sex crimes have gone unrecorded by police officers. The UK's Independent Office for Police Conduct, the IOPC for short, published a list of recommendations on Tuesday, which noted that numerous instances of child sexual exploitation were not being correctly recorded by the South Yorkshire Police in the grooming gang hotspot of Rotherham. The IOPC compiled recommendations for policing both South Yorkshire and the rest of the country after examining findings from Operation Linden, an investigation into 265 separate allegations made against South Yorkshire Police from 1997 to 2013 relating to child sexual abuse in the Rotherham area. You know, you guys, I always hear about Rotherham when it comes to child sexual exploitation. It's really a big problem. I believe that there was a big what they call it in the UK is a grooming gang. It's basically a group of traffickers or a crime syndicate of traffickers. So that's what they call a grooming gang there. So, you know, I've always seen it coming from Rotherham, though. For anybody from the UK, can you guys comment on anything you know about Rotherham? Because this is something that I see consistently coming from Rotherham, and there must be something going on. I can't quite tell you what it is, but I know that I've seen a lot of stories coming from Rotherham. We found many instances where the crimes were not being recorded, and they should have been, including reports of sexual assault or sexual activity with the child, the report stated. In particular, inspectors found significant underrecording of crimes committed against vulnerable children, the document continued. Responding to the IOPC report, local MP Sarah Champion said that while she welcomed the recommendations, she was troubled that the report found that crimes involving vulnerable adults and children reported directly from South Yorkshire Police's Public Protection Department were not always being recorded. It is crucial that all reports of possible CSE, for you guys who don't know what CSE is, it's child sexual exploitation, are recorded, even though where it does not prove possible pursuit of further action. Without accurate records, warning signs can be missed and victims left vulnerable to further exploitation. South Yorkshire Police must rectify this matter of urgency, Champion continued. And it's true. I mean, if you don't record, even if like nobody is charged in the particular matters at hand at that very moment, at least collect data. I mean, that's a basic data analytic principle. Like in order for you to pattern anything out, whether there's a lot of child sexual assault allegations coming from one side of the city or one demographic, you know, you must record that information, even if you don't know who the assailant is, who the assaultee is. I mean, it's basic information that you should be recording. But why is it that we're living in a society where people are not taking child sex crimes very seriously? This is one of the most egregious crimes in all of our life, you know? The report also raised alarm over the fact that many victims of child sex abuse in Rotherham now had criminal records as a result of the abuse they suffered. The criminal records stem mainly from so-called survival crimes perpetrated by a victim against a perpetrator or associate, as well as crimes that arose out of the victim acting out in a reaction to their abuse or suffering. The document goes on to state that while some improvements have occurred since 2014, the report found that there were shortcomings concerning third-party reporting of crimes involving vulnerable adults and children reported directly from South Yorkshire Police Public Protection Department. Yet, the IOPC admitted that in 2020, an audit of the police force found there had been no discernible improvement to this. Labour MP Sarah Champion said that she found it deeply concerning that the report suggests that improvements have made following inspections of South Yorkshire Police in 2014 may have been stalled or even deteriorated in some areas. It also perhaps is noteworthy that the IOPC made little mention of race, ethnicity, or religion. The absence of the reports come despite other reviews finding that the police have ignored the abuse in Rotherham for years out of fear, sparking racial tensions. And this is true. So what this story is actually alluding to is that there are grooming gangs or traffickers in our terminology in America, grooming gangs in Rotherham that were raping girls, and that most of these suspects, I guess we can say that being correct on this platform, were of a certain religion, were of a certain race. And that's not to say or convey that every person is like that comes from that religion or race. But it is quite curious why law enforcement wouldn't record this. It's like if there's certain aspects of a person that might be I guess I don't know what to call it, controversial, because they all come from a certain demographic. That's not a good call to not record that incident, right? Like, they're just really virtue signaling, but playing with people's lives and child's lives at this point by not recording this data. Around 1,400, that's 1,400 non-Muslim girls and women, most of whom were white, working class, were groomed and raped in Rotherham, mainly by, and this is coming from Breitbart, mainly by Muslim men of Pakistani origin. Detective turned whistleblower Maggie Oliver, who now runs a charity devoted to helping victims of grooming gangs, have warned that the scourge of rape gangs have extended through the country, saying that the sexual abuse of children is going on everywhere. What we're finding in the foundation is the worst cases were in West Yorkshire and Great Manchester, Oliver said in July. And this is just a little snapshot of the suspects that are alleged to be in the grooming gang, or at least some that are caught. So you guys, this is just some obvious observations. This is just very curious why certain law enforcement wouldn't record just basic data, basic, events, the assailants, the suspects, the people who have been suspected of being the offender. It's just very curious why they wouldn't record this. It's so obvious that they're trying to leave out certain aspects of what's really going on. It's amazing we've gotten to this point. All right, and moving on to this story here, coming from Scioto County Daily News. Mike Mirren, Ohio attorney charged in human trafficking ring, dies. A stunning end to a human trafficking case Ohio authorities spent years investigating, according to Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost. Michael Mirren, the Portsmouth attorney accused of masterminding a sex trafficking ring, has died. Mirren's trial was scheduled to begin in January. There was a long list of charges. Mirren, a former Portsmouth city councilman, faced a long list of charges. The charges claim he was behind a human trafficking ring that operated for 15 years. 1 count of engaging in pattern of corrupt activity, 3 counts of trafficking in persons, 5 counts of compelling prostitution, 9 counts of promoting prostitution. Allegations of Mirren compelling women in need of legal representation to serve as prostitutes swirled for years. The first real legal movement in the case happened in the spring of 2020, when in the early hours of March 25th, members of BCI and other law enforcement agencies detained him and raided his own office. Then the BCI began asking anyone who may have been a victim of Mirren or have any information about the suspicious activities to speak out. Ohio Attorney General Dave Yost and Scioto County Prosecutor Shane Tiemann announced Mirren's indictment back in October of 2020. And I think I do remember this story, and there is quite a bit of very intricate detail of how he would utilize this trafficking or operate this trafficking ring for years. In the March of this year, Prosecutors have asked to revoke Miron's bail. They asked Judge Patricia Cosgrove to send him back to jail for failing to comply with the conditions set forth in his bond. They decided that Miron was forbidden to practice law by Cosgrove and continued to retain clients. Cosgrove ordered Miron to house arrest. He was only permitted to leave his home for medical or legal appointments and observe any religious events. Attorney Dave Yaw said at least he died publicly charged for his crimes, and his victims knew the dignity of being heard and believed they have survived him. Many on social media have expressed suspicions about Miron's death right before his trial was scheduled to begin, likening his death to the late Jeffrey Epstein, whom authorities said had, did the deed on his own in his jail cell while awaiting trial on multiple charges. So, this story is actually a big one. I might dedicate an entire The Daily TrafficK segment on just going over Mike Miron and what he operated in Ohio. By the way, Ohio, I see a lot in the news, in the trafficking news. There's just a lot going on. And I don't know, because there's a lack of everything everywhere, right? Lack of law enforcement, lack of education across the board for law enforcement as well. I don't know what it is about Ohio that makes this state quite consistent that there are a lot of human trafficking cases, but there is a lot of domestic human trafficking going on in Ohio. So, my friends, this is the end of the newscast for today, for the week. I appreciate you guys. I really love you. Thank you for paying attention to what's going on in the world, in our society, in our locale. Guys, this is still very disheartening that human trafficking is still an everyday story, but we're going to keep talking about it. We're going to keep sharing the story. Hey, be sure to share this podcast, share this radio show if you're listening to me on radio, because now I am on radio as well. That's very exciting. Yahoo! Share this program with somebody that text it to your friends, to your family, drop the link in a Facebook group and an Instagram group and a Telegram group, wherever you guys communicate and have community. Be sure to share this, because nobody is talking about the trafficking headlines every single day like I am, or, just alternative news, topics that you guys need to know about. And I do appreciate those that do. I really do. And I love you guys so much for supporting me all the time and for believing in me. I hope you guys have a very restful weekend. And I will talk to you guys on Monday. If there is not some hot and poppin' crazy news happening over the weekend, then I might do it. But anyway, you guys have a great weekend. I will talk to you on Monday. But bye, guys. I love ya.
Thank you so much for tuning in to Unravel with Natly Denise. Please give this podcast 5 stars.